6 total pipes, 5 outputs, 1 input. Kind of good to know. So when you open it up, there should be 5 PVC pipes coming out plus 1 input, 6 total. So that tells me, is that an 11 by 17 vault with 6 pipes sticking out of it? You hope not.
Yeah.
That's going to tell me it's probably a little bit bigger than that. It's probably more of like a 4 by 4 or a 24 by 36 or even a 36 by 48. It's a little bit bigger. Also tells me where it's located. If you notice, you have the streets kind of like this, and then you have you have that pole number 2 over here, right? And then you have your dash this way going to a vault. Kind of tells me where the vault is, right? Well, if this is the street boundaries, does that tell me that that vault's in the street? No, it's most likely in the it's most likely in the sidewalk. Here's a little trick. Here's a little bit more understanding about this. We have a thing called a franchise agreement, right, with the towns that give us permission to utilize their property to place our equipment, right? Do we have a franchise agreement with any property owners?
No.
Who do we have it with?
Towns.
So why would our equipment be on private property? It won't be. It would be on city property. So if you see that, I can guarantee you it's within 15 feet of the center line of a street. Why do I know that? Because the city owns 15 feet from the center line out. We try to place our vaults so they match the property line. Why? Because if it was in the city street and I wanted to feed that customer, I'd have to go back to the city and get a permit to go the 3 inches that I was on their property. By placing the back of the vault on the property line, I now can dig underneath, be on private property, and not have to worry about a permit moving forward. So, little trick. You're out there looking for a vault. On standard, 15 feet away from the center line is usually, for the most part, those are single lane roads. Dual lane roads, add 8 feet to that, because every lane is 8 feet. So if you're looking at a dual lane road, you're going to be at 23 feet off the center line. Standard, not all the time, but for the most part, it's a good set base. So that tells me that that vault sitting right there is on the sidewalk because it's back off the street. So it's off the street. It's in a sidewalk. It has a feed that's going over to 120 feet over to this square box. So wait a minute. One was open and one was colored in. And by the way, it continues on, right, to another one?
Mm-hmm.
Those are lock boxes. What's the difference between a lock box and a vault? Lock boxes are in buildings or attached to buildings. Vaults are in the ground. That's how I know. I'm not looking for a vault here. I'm looking for a lock box. Lock boxes come in different sizes, but you know they standard, right? They're pretty standard as far as, our colors are gray. So that tells me, what I'm looking at right here, is I have a riser pole that's number 2 that has no house count on it. It's a utility pole because it's joint owned. Being at a riser, it has an aerial feed coming to it, a cable coming down, going across in an underground pipe. Don't know if it's direct buried. That doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you it's there. And then from there, it feeds into 5 different locations. One of them happens to be over here, which I know is the fire station, just from knowing. All right? That's how I know it.
So basically, any squares that are colored in is a lock box.
Lock box.
And any squares that are non-colored in is a vault.
Vault. Very good. Right. They don't necessarily always have a V in them because it depends on who the designer was, but we try to use V's. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But if you see a square, like in the case of this, there's no V in it, you know that's pretty much odds. Got it? So then you have those symbols, but then you have this symbol. Looks like that. So you have vaults, you know that. What do you think this symbol is?
Riser. Pedestal.
Pedestal. So that's the difference. If I'm out there and I see this symbol, I'm not looking for a vault, I'm looking for a pedestal. You all know what pedestals are, right? Stick about 2 feet out of the ground, you trip on them, people run them over with lawnmowers and plows and shit like that, right?
So basically, what you're saying is this dotted line from that vault, if it had a pedestal in it, okay, you get a dotted line, and in that dotted line it'd be one of those?
Yep. It would look like this. So you'd have the dotted line, right? And then all of a sudden you'd have this.
Okay.
There's a pedestal there.
Perfect.
Instead of a vault.
our goal is to always install pedestals versus vaults. Got it? We always want to do that, cost-wise. Doesn't always work that way. We kind of go with what the development has. If everybody else is putting vaults in, we're going to put vaults in. The only time we will change that is at what we call a doghouse. That's where our amplifiers would go in. In that case, same symbol, right? The symbol doesn't change. It's just that it's going to have a doghouse
So
there.
basically, that's just showing that there's something going to be above ground.
Above ground.